All right, purple goldfish. Why purple and why a goldfish? Let's start with purple. Purple is an ode to New Orleans, specifically because of its most famous event, Mardi Gras. Purple is one of 3 official colors of Mardi Gras. It was inspired by New Orleans because of one word that comes from the city. One word that exemplifies the idea of doing a little something extra. One word that, according to Mark Twain in his autobiography, was worth traveling all the way to New Orleans to get. That one word is lagniappe. Pronounced lagniappe. It's a Creole word meaning the gift or to give more. The practice dates back to the 1840s, where a merchant would give a customer a little something at the time of purchase. It's a signature personal touch by the business that creates goodwill and promotes referrals. Now, if purple represents a little something extra, why a goldfish? Kimpton Hotels is part of the inspiration behind the metaphor. Kimpton totally gets the guest experience. The hotel chain has a number of signature extras, and if you stay at the Kimpton, you'll find there's always gourmet coffee in the lobby. In the afternoon, they do wine tasting. I mean, not samples, full glasses of wine. All Kimptons are pet friendly, but my favorite little extra was introduced by Kimpton all the way back in 2001. Perhaps you're staying at the Kimpton, you're getting a little lonely, or maybe you and your family are away from home and missing your family pet. Kimpton offers guests the ability to adopt a temporary travel companion for their stay, a goldfish. This signature extra is called Guppy Love. Imagine having a goldfish in your room. They encourage you to name it. You are almost guaranteed to post it on Facebook or Instagram it, or tell everyone about it when you go back to work. The second reason behind a goldfish has to do with my childhood. At age 6, my first pet was a goldfish. His name was Oscar. And I'll never forget it. I won it at a fair by throwing a ping pong ball in a carnival game. Now, Oscar was small, maybe 1 or 2 inches. And it turns out that the average goldfish grows to just be over 3 inches. That's the size of your thumb. Yet the largest goldfish in the world is nearly 20 inches. I mean, that's 6 times more than the average. Now, not a carp or a koi, an average ordinary goldfish that's 6 times larger. I mean, that would be like walking out of your house or apartment this morning and bumping into somebody who is 3 stories tall. I mean, how can there be such a disparity? Well, it turns out that the growth of a goldfish is determined by 5 factors. And those same 5 factors relate to the growth of any business. Let's look at each. The first growth factor for a goldfish is the size of the environment that they're in. The size of the bowl or the pond will determine how much they grow. This one is a direct correlation. The larger the bowl, the more the goldfish can grow. In business, what's the equivalent of the bowl or the pond? It's simply the market for your product or service. The larger the market you serve, the more you can grow. The second growth factor is the number of other goldfish in the bowl or pond. This one is an inverse correlation. The more goldfish in the bowl or pond, typically less growth is achieved. With fewer goldfish, the more opportunity there is to grow. Who are the other goldfish in your business? Well, they're your competition, right? I mean, the less competition you have, the easier it is to grow. The third growth factor is the quality of the water that they're in. The more nutrients, the less cloudiness, the more growth. So what's the equivalent of the quality of that surrounding environment or water in business? Here we need to kind of expand and think macro. The quality of water in business, it's the economy. And this makes sense. The better the economy that we're in, the easier it is to grow. The fourth factor for a goldfish is their first 120 days of life. The nourishment and treatment that they receive in their first 4 months is key to their future growth. Goldfish are tiny when they're born. So the lower the quality of the food and the treatment that they get, it can stunt their future growth. So what's the equivalent of the first 120 days in business? Well, what do you call a business in its earliest days? A startup. The fifth and final growth factor for a goldfish is genetic makeup. And the strength of its genes and genetics will determine its size. The stronger its genes and the more that it is separated from the other goldfish, the more it will typically grow. Conversely, if their genes are weak and they're like everyone else, the less they will typically grow. So what's the equivalent of genetic makeup in business? It's differentiation. The more differentiated your products and services are, the better the chances you have to grow.